Well, welcome on back there, partners. See, you made it on back to this trading post. I wasn't so sure you would. Things got pretty hairy down in Paradise last week. But since everyone's alive, I guess we'll go visit Marshal Kevin.
Hello, and thank you once again for the introduction. You can go back to the bar now.
I live there.
Luckily, yours didn't have a train run through it. Speaking of having trains run through it, that's kind of the life story of these people that are sitting all around me here. But let's start with the people first before we get to the characters. My fellow storytellers, I'm just going to work along the line. Right next to me, our newest addition, Ryan playing Baptiste. And just working down the line, we have Hannah playing Ellie, who spent the entire last episode asleep, but we'll get to that. At the very far end, we have Lesimax playing Lucius, the Undertaker, who spent most of the last episode surrounded by dead bodies. So you think he'd be happy, but not really. On the bottom row, we have in the far corner our very own Noctum Sky playing Jett, the cowboy who got one good night's sleep in 5 years and then had that interrupted by a slightly odd but at least not terrifying dream. And Miss Alice, who had an episode in the last episode. She saw some magic that she had a real hard time explaining. She lost her fortune and quite possibly her status. And she got the best picture of a hell train ever. So, with that very short and very quick introduction, let's drop back down this rabbit hole, back into this wonderland we call Poison Paradise. And we begin with the party all split up, just like I like them. All over Paradise. Jett, you are still, this is late evening, you are crashed in the chair at the sheriff's office, head on the desk, didn't even make it to the cot. Lucius and Baptiste, you guys are off to the west of town at the graveyard, having a conversation with some people about some what appears to be premature burials. Miss Alice, you are at the newspaper with Dan Comfort. You have just received some disturbing news, agreed to do a disturbing thing, in other words, giving money back to Daddy, who you insist on calling by his first name.
Mm-hmm.
And right at the very last moment, just to add to your confusion, Dan came bursting through the door with a prepared daguerreotype plate cover made from ghost steel, ready to have a picture taken. So with that, to everybody that's watching, see what you missed last week. If you didn't see it, gotta watch. And to the rest of you who are here, everybody roll any dice that need to be rolled and draw any chips that need to be drawn. Get them on your sheets and let me know when you have.
How many chips are we doing?
We are doing 3 this week. And yes, Jett, you do not need to because you are snoozing soundly, so no exhaustion roll for you. Get those on your sheets. Remember, you can't have more than 10 in your possession at any time, and you can burn them during the game to offset wounds and wind and all that kind of stuff.
I am all good.
1 second.
I'm set.
Okay.
Yep. I
And
need to
with
take
that,
off. I need to take $200 off my sheet. Forgot
Yep.
to do that.
we
All
can
good.
telegraph that. Yeah, you just...
I'm good.
And we will... And Jett, you're good? Got him all. Big smile. He's muted, but I'm just going to assume that he's got it all figured out. So and with that, let's start this. Oh, let's start with a bang. Let's start in the graveyard. Baptiste and Lucius, right near the end of last week, you guys had discovered that the locals were very rapidly building boxes. This was Jeb Early's instructions. He's the you thought he was the Undertaker. He's actually just the gravedigger. But he's having locals build coffins as fast as they can, and he is taking the bodies that were already there and placing them very quickly into these coffins. When you guys showed up, you both know it's supposed to be 3 days. There are things that need to be done, both physically and religiously. Yeah, you just sent one of the underlings off to town to find the priest, the local priest, and have him come out as well. So let's start there with the two of you. Standing with the trailer behind you, or you've just you've unloaded the trailer, so there's this very orderly row of corpses wrapped in winding sheets.
So as we're finishing these up, well, anyway, that's when I said normally, Mayor, it would be 3 Hail Marys, but considering it was 2 sheep and a bull, let's give it a even baker's dozen.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
Wonder what's taking this coachman, that priest, and that sheriff so long.
Yes, indeed. Hopefully, being gentle with my cart.
And about then,
cargo.
Jeb. Yeah. Yes. Lucius, you recognize him. You've met him before. Padre, this is a man with a shovel over his shoulder covered in dirt standing in a graveyard. It's pretty clear who he probably is, but yeah, our Undertaker friend has been formally introduced. This is Jeb Early, the gravedigger. And he approaches you with his shovel over his shoulder. And Lucius, he looks you up and down like you're missing a piece.
Oh, I just look at him. Hello, gravedigger Jett. How are you?
I was wondering how long it'd be till you got out here.
Well, you know, an underkeeper's job is never finished.
And he nods first to you and then to Baptiste, and he says, I got it. Rules and regulations. Speaking of which, you're probably wondering.
Yes.
You just give him the look.
Yeah.
He looks around to make sure that there's no civilians about, and he just reaches down and very casually grabs the foot of one of the corpses that you've just brought off the cart that's laying there very nicely. And he very casually just pulls it into the shadow of one of the mausoleums. It's not very respectful, but he did look around to see if anybody was looking. He just sort of drops it there for a second and steps back and turns to look at you guys.
Is there something particular we're supposed to be waiting for, Mr. Early?
And in the shadow, the corpse bag goes... The legs start kicking.
That's very peculiar.
And as it starts to get even more and more vigorous, he reaches down and grabs the other end and pulls it back out in the sun. And as it comes out in the sun, it just goes soft again. All of this was inside the winding cloth.
Huh.
Well, that's
So I thought it might be a good idea to get him...
I don't suppose you know how to perform an exorcism.
Nope, but I know how to nail people in boxes and put 6 feet of good earth over them. I figure it'll muffle any of the sounds.
Well, perhaps something a little bit more preventative would be useful. How many of these other graves have similar type cadavers in them, Mr. Early?
Total was 18.
Would you be so kind as to point out which exact graves those 18 are?
And yeah, there's a whole row along the back. There's only 2 of them that are being filled. They've all been dug. And there's a growing row of coffins that are full, but only 2 of them are in the holes yet. And one of them's about half full, the other one's about a quarter full.
The graves, are they bunched together? Or are they all
They're
spread out?
in, yeah, they basically, he's digging a row. He's taken up most of that. If you remember, the mausoleums were in the center, and then the rest of the graves were around the outside. There wasn't a lot of room left, but what it was across the far side, and it's those, almost that last set. There's probably only room for another 10 or 12.
And is there one particular mausoleum that's larger than all the others?
There is a large one. Let me bring it, the two of you there, and I've remembered to put the camera there this week, so when I do that, it won't go to black for everyone else except for the poor players who aren't part of this. But there, Lucius and Baptiste and the camera can now see the mausoleums and the rest of the graveyard, or should be able to.
Hmm. That's interesting.
And so you can see that there is the large sort of cross-shaped one over here is the largest of them. And it's this row of graves along the back here behind that where the these fresh graves are.
Sure. Mr. Early, if you would allow me and my compatriot a moment in private.
You got a couple moments, and he looks very pointedly at the horizon, and you look up, and I mean, you could tell there's not a lot of watches. You can tell time by how long. You've got about 90 minutes before the sun hits the horizon.
Could I do an occult check, maybe?
You can sure try.
Okay, let's see.
And Baptiste, do you have anything specific?
Yeah, sorry, I'm taking a look at character sheet thing.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, this is certainly something that is not the normal way of having to deal with things, but I think that perhaps should we be able to make it through the night through all of our combined efforts, then maybe first thing in the morning we can set to work to laying these poor unfortunate souls to rest in a more permanent manner.
Indeed. This is a rather unfortunate circumstance, but I guess we'll have to do it that way.
I was hoping to get them all underground before dark, but and then have the services in the morning. But and he sort of spins his shovel on his shoulder.
With all respect
you
to
know
the
best.
dead, I think that perhaps if we, as respectfully as possible, lay these bodies inside that very well fortified mausoleum here, well, then we only have one area to be concerned about.
He nods at the perspicacity of this decision, and he looks at the rather flimsy coffins that he's been putting these poor people in. And he waves the men to stop.
The current living family member of this mausoleum, are they in town or?
And he looks quickly at it and says, that's the blacksmith. Well,
Interesting.
the dad of the current blacksmith, Genevieve's father.
Well, I'm sure that as one good Frenchman to another, I'll be able to have a word.
And he nods, and there is a look of respect bordering on fear when he says her name. Yeah, that's what you would see. Yeah, she is. He clearly respects her in a, like I said, bordering on fear level. So, and with that, he pulls a large key ring off of his belt, and there's a very large, ornate, obviously not very effective, but ornate key designed to unlock this mausoleum. And he starts grinding it into this metal lock that obviously hasn't been opened for years.
Once it gets open, is there anything amiss inside?
You step in, it takes a couple seconds for your eyes to adjust because it's still quite bright outside, and you look around and...
Does it?
Or not, depending on what... Anyway, a vision change occurs when you step inside. I was trying to gloss over that. And you look around and nothing but dust, the dust of years. You look at the dates as you walk through the door, and apparently this man was 117 when he died. And there's an empty space. Like he's on the left, and then ahead of you there's an empty space, and on the right of you there's an empty space carved into the walls of the mausoleum.
Does it look like, I mean, even if it's a little tight, does it look like we'd be able to lay all of the bodies in this room?
And still maintain a level of decency? Yes, you could probably put two, or sort of two or three in each of these slots, and the rest of them would be, I mean, they'd be kind of like bricks on the floor, not on top of each other, but they'd have to be sort of interlocked. But you could get them, for purposes of this, this is the big one. So you can get them in here without being disrespectful.
All right. Then Baptiste will kind of step outside and do the stadium whistle. I can't do it.
Yep, but Baptiste can. So
Baptiste can, and sort of yells to the workers, gentlemen, under the auspices of Lucius here, let's begin loading these bodies respectfully inside the mausoleum.
Post haste, as I have my watch out and look at the sun.
Mm-hmm. As you say that, Jeb looks at you and says, so you won't be dirtying your hands?
Oh, by all means, I'll help out as much as I can.
Grab the feet.
Absolutely.
And he grabs his arm. He grabs his arms out of the other end.
Just get right into it.
Yep. And with the help of the locals who are, again, just surprisingly okay with handling bodies, and you look around again and do the math, there's almost as many dead people in this cemetery as there are live people in that town, and the town's only been here 20 years. So maybe this is, a hell train down the mountain probably isn't every day, but death is obviously pretty much a very common occurrence here. And they are helping you like this is just another task. Mm-hmm. And you get it done and close that door, and he turns that big lock, unless there was anything either of you wanted to say or do before he closed it for the night.
Not on my end.
Quick blessing? No? Okay.
Yeah. And with that, the door locks and closes, and he looks at the two of you and says, that's probably a better solution. So I'm here all night. And he looks around expectantly. Anybody staying?
Well, I think I might need to go back in town and collect a few things.
That door looks real solid. It's a big metal door. It went when he closed it. But.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll be back within a couple of hours.
And the two of you turn and head back towards town?
Yeah.
The other workers, now released by this lack of work now, are heading back to town in a hurry. And just to make things annoying, just before you guys leave, the cart returns with another load. So unlock the door, put them in respectfully. Just for continuity purposes, we had to get the cart back. They are very respectfully also placed inside the mausoleum. You guys hop on the cart and head back towards town.
Anybody need a ride?
Does the sheriff and the priest come back with the cart this time?
Yes, they did, actually. Pardon me. Yes. So, when they arrive, there is the sheriff who I believe you've both met or at least seen.
I have.
Brave man walking down the middle of the. Oh, you haven't. No. He has got a large.
Ryan has watched the shows, but
yes, But so he's got a big wound in one shoulder, a big wound in one leg. Older man, gray, got a bit of a beard, cowboy hat. Looks like he has been around the world twice, rode hard and put away wet, as the horse saying goes. And he's up on the cart with a guy that can best be described as think of Hagrid, just huge man wearing just this almost burlap sack with a big simple wooden cross hanging on just a thong of leather around his neck.
Oh, wow. Do I recognize his vestments?
He appears to be I believe. Quick look. Is a Baptist church. It says so right on the sheet.
Baptist church.
So yeah.
All right.
So yes, he is a Baptist minister.
Baptiste will. I'll actually go to shake his hand. Father Baptiste Saint Amand, and you are?
He looks at you, and I've temporarily forgotten what the hell his name was. Just one moment. He says, this huge, deep, rumbling voice comes out, Father Dean. And his
Father
hand comes
Dean.
out, Dean, yeah.
Wow.
This huge mitt just comes out, and it's not only big, it's all calloused and worn, and looks like he can hardly straighten his fingers out. They're so big. And you see that underneath this very simple vestment is a hugely powerful man. He's not, I mean, he's fat, but he is hugely powerful. Your hand
All right.
just disappears.
Oh, that's so awesome. Man, I hope this works. Father Dean, if I may inquire as to a bit of scripture that I'm not familiar with, written back here, and I actually pull him by himself around the back of one of these mausoleums.
Yep. Yeah, and he very obviously allows himself to be taken by you.
And then I don't know how this is going to work, so we'll find out with a roll. Let's see here. So that, with a success and a raise, might be enough to raise my strength by 2 steps.
Okay.
This old, wiry, ancient-looking Baptiste grabs him by the lapels and works to lift him up in a strength that should not be possible. A few inches off the ground. It says, now you being understanding what is going on with these bodies want to explain to me in God's good graces why you haven't performed an exorcism? Or maybe there'll be one more body in a mausoleum tonight.
And he is looking down at you because you've got him off the ground, and he is just bug-eyed. There's fear on his face, and it hardly fits. Like it's probably never been there before. And he looks down at you and says, I don't know it.
Baptiste drops him. Whether or not the father recognizes it, there's a second of just absolute exhaustion, and actually in a real wet coughing fit, Baptiste comes back around the corner to go straight to the cart.
I didn't see that, right?
No, he was around the corner.
Because I probably would have shit my pants if I did see that.
And a couple seconds later, he comes around the corner, sort of straightening out his wrinkles.
Are you okay, Father?
You got a quick, I just want to give you one more thing. You got a quick idea. When he said that, you got the impression he's not that kind of priest. He's just to stand at the front of the room and read the book kind of priest.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Baptiste is he's a little bit doubled over in the front of the cart, trying to kind of keep down a bunch of hacking and coughing, and just sort of waves for Lucius.
Lucius, yeah.
Okay, but I come
So
over.
yeah, you see, all you see is the two of them go around the corner, like first your nightmare comes back around the corner, I think you're probably kind of starting to like, which is
Yeah, a lot of mixed feelings because we work so well together.
Yeah, you're a team, but the dreams. Anyway, so yeah, you see him come around the corner first, and he looks at first. You like for a second, it's almost like he's been punched. He's folded over and coughing, and then you see him spit, and it's just like it's nasty, and you get he's ill.
Did that?
And he just crawls up into the cart.
I'm like, did that behemoth just like punch you or something?
No, it's just a little bit drier weather than what I'm used to, and he kind of spits, and yeah, it's a dark phlegm and blood into the dust.
So okay. By the way, I rolled a 6 on my occult. I don't know we totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have been, while this has all been happening, you've been kind of poking at again, as respectfully as possible. You start like covering things up and doing some little experiments. One of the weird things is the winding sheets don't matter, right? They don't seem to block the light as long as they're in the light. But the two that are in the holes already with the lids on the coffins, you can hear them thumping. So obviously, as soon as they closed the coffins, they started to thump.
So whenever they're in like absolute oblivion.
Well, very dark shadow caused them to start to twitch.
Interesting.
And Jeb sort of looks at you and says, yeah, that's why I wanted to put them down there. We don't want them dancing at their own funerals.
Mm-hmm. What possesses these, I wonder?
And then the walk around the corner, and then this giant behemoth of a man follows back.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to stay here, and and he's looking at you, Baptiste. And he's like, I should probably, and he's trying to get across that he's going to bless these people. He feels at least responsible to stay here, so he's going to stay with Jeb. And the sheriff looks at all of you at this point. He's been sitting real quiet, like a good sheriff, just waiting to see what's going to happen. And at this point, he looks at the two of you and says, well, that seems to be under control. And he's just waiting for an explanation.
Baptiste really doesn't have a whole lot at this point.
Lucius, you're probably the only one that can be vocal at this point as well.
Well, it just, to our understanding, was it yourself and the...
You start the horses back towards them.
Yeah. And if anybody wanted to ride, the workers, they were probably in the back, so...
Yeah, sitting in the back. So yeah, he's still waiting. He's looking at you, waiting for this explanation as you guys ride back into town.
Well, to our explanation, was it you and the Father Dean who made the decision to just skip the formalities?
Oh, Jeb showed up to start taking the first ones, and he's got a covered cart that he uses so nobody has to look, and as soon as he put it inside, I guess it started doing its thing, and he showed me, and I'll tell you, son, I panicked. I can deal with gunfight all day long, but the dead ain't supposed to move.
This is true, however, there are procedures.
Yep.
Regardless.
Yep. And I figured the procedures could wait till morning. I'm a practical man.
I understand that, but procedures are procedures. We must proceed with them. I know I'd be redundant.
Honestly suggesting we leave them in there and you do your thing for the next 3 days?
If we have to, out of respect for the dead, yes.
Has anyone tried it yet, Sheriff?
Tried what?
The proper burial rites.
And he kind of looks back over his shoulder to the person that you just left standing in the graveyard, and he said, well, Father Dean knows all the words. But you know how sometimes when you go to church and other times when you go to church, sometimes you come away feeling a little more inspired than other times? That boy couldn't inspire himself to eat.
I don't think eating is his problem. What about any more pragmatic of a solution? A bullet in the head.
Not my, I don't know anybody tried that. You certainly wouldn't want anybody seeing you doing it, but no, maybe we'll try that in the morning. If you can quiet them, you can have your 3 days.
Has the doctor been consulted on any of this? She seems to be a bit of a remarkable woman.
She certifies them all as dead. And once she can't save them, she just had them taken out in the street. So
The one Baptiste shot.
mm-hmm.
Did I notice if that one stirred?
That would have been one of the last ones on the last cart that just got brought in. So
I might have missed it. I don't know.
no, that's what, actually, this gives me a chance to do a little flashback. When you open that door to the mausoleum, of course, it's pitch black in there. So when you open the door to put the new 5 in, they're all over the place. They're all over each other. They've been jittering in the dark. You put these 5 in, and as you slam the door, you hear them again. You open it, and the one you shot in the head is the only one that's not dancing.
Okay. I will keep that to myself for now.
Do you think you will have to perform an exorcism of sorts?
It's not as simple as they make it sound in the pulp novels, but it is certainly something that is on the table. We're going to need a big breakfast.
And with that, you guys literally ride into the sunset, heading back. Oh, no, sorry, away from the sunset. The sun sets in the west in this world. With the sun shining on your back, silhouetting you as you drive back towards paradise. In paradise. Miss Alice. Let's go to the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
You just telegraphed a significant portion of what you had left of your infallible funds back to Daddy Dearest, who has told you that he's, well, not he, but his bank didn't give a loan to a guy because of his known criminal connections, and that guy had sued and the assets of the company are frozen. So not only does he have no money, with no money, you know how this works. Your family just lost all their status too. And
Yeah.
as you hit that last beep, 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 and that last $200 irrevocably goes down that telegraph line, the back door slammed open, and in ran the man who helped you take the best ever Hell Train picture in the world, with a daguerreotype plate covered in purpley black ooze. Miss Alice, we got it.
Alice is kind of she doesn't even look at him when he first comes in. She's just kind of like,
You look down and there's a little strip of paper coming out of the side of the machine that you just typed in that has your message hanging out of the side of the machine.
yeah, that's getting ripped off.
Yeah.
She rips it off and kind of so what she does in order to do this is she kind of turns away from him and coughs. She's kind of like, and as she's coughing, she acts like she's grabbing her chest, and she just shoves that slip of paper like right under the collar of her dress.
Yeah, so it is gone. He is far too excited to be. He's beyond caring what you may or may not be doing. He also knows how even if he had seen it, he knows when a lady is trying to hide something, and you're his star pupil. So, and he's just standing there, just grinning. Like he's almost as happy, almost as happy as he was when he saw the train wreck.
And she's like, "Found what?" Right.
They're finished. We got 3.
Could you, if you don't mind, could you wrap those for me?
Yeah, she said something about bullets too. Bullets and ammunition and some other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be sure to let Jett know. Some of those I think he was trying to do for shotguns, which he doesn't have anymore, but I'll be sure to let them know. If you could wrap that for me, I want to make sure that we don't waste those.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the way it works. That this goo is kind of like wrapping. When you want to take the picture, you just scrape it off, put it in the camera, take your exposure. But I'll get them wrapped in some paper, and he folds them up so that there's a stack of 3 and a little pile of 3 each wrapped in yesterday's newspaper.
Okay. She will take them and add them with the rest of her daguerreotype plates.
Okay. So what are we going to take a picture of?
Well, around here it seems like very often there are strange instances to take pictures of.
And he looks out the window at the hell train crash there, and there's almost no smoke. It's almost gone. The steam's all escaped, and there's just a little bit of ghost rock smoke drifting up and floating away. Yeah, best picture of that's probably already been taken. Don't you want to know, though?
I do, but I only have 3.
And there's this sort of moment of recognition where he realizes that you're not ecstatic about this.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks confused, and he says, "Miss Alice, I hope you don't think I'm forward, but can I buy you a drink?"
Alice, like, in the in her, like, the immediate thought that comes to her mind, she just blurts it out.
Mm-hmm.
And she steps to him, wraps her hand around the collar of his shirt, and says, "Are you trying to say that I cannot buy my own damn drinks?"
I just thought you looked like you needed a drink. I forgot who I was speaking to. Would you like to buy me a drink? Is that better?
And she kind of, like, when he says that, she takes her hand and just, like, lets go. And in the same motion that she lets go, she kind of, not like hard, but she kind of just pushes backwards.
Yeah, and his little hat kind of comes down over his eyes, and he has to reach up and adjust it. Whew. Miss Alice, don't. And he takes another step back, and he says, "Don't take this the wrong way, but you're scary. So, how about the 2 of us go and have a drink and decide who pays for it then?"
And she says, "Huh." And then she just pulls out that bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll take the wine glass and sit it down. And then she'll look. I'm sure there's like a scotch. He's probably got a scotch glass or something around here.
Yep. Oh,
and
yeah.
She'll pour.
He pulls out, a little short tumbler.
She's not going to pour because there's only about 2 drinks left in this.
Yep.
So she's going to split that 1 drink between the 2 of them. So she's not going to pour because,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Probably...
Yeah, I get it. So, yeah, there's a tiny bit at the bottom of his tumbler, and you've got half a glass.
Yeah, pretty much.
He holds it up to clink, and you can see his hand is shaking slightly.
He's going to learn his place eventually. And she'll clink. And then, of course, through the,
he's trying to do the same thing, but it's a tumbler. It doesn't really work
he doesn't.
well.
He also probably is just copying her. So
he doesn't understand that he's looking for legs and all that.
Yeah.
So not a clue. But yeah, he tries to do what you're doing. And has his sip, and he just, for a second, there's this disappointed look on his face, and he kind of puckers up because it's a proper dry wine, and it's definitely not what he's used to. But he tries to hide it, like he's trying to be suave.
She's like, she sits in what would I assume be his chair.
Yep.
And she kind of sits back.
He goes to the other side of the desk and sits down where the client would sit. Yeah.
And she kind of sits back and she just swirls what's left of her wine, and she's kind of snickers, and she says, "I did forget that you aren't used to the finer things." And then she just takes a sip and just shows him how it's supposed to be done, basically.
And he looks at you and grins, and a very strange thing happens. This hick that you've been talking to just kind of, like, not physically, I mean, yes, physically, not like he morphed, he's a different creature, but that hick face just kind of falls off. And not physically, but he's now looking at you and a big grin on his face. And he holds up the wine and, gets his face right over it like you're supposed to, and holds it up to the light. And, "Madam, it's been 15 years since I had wine this good. And I might know one or two more things than I've let on." Ellie.
Okay, yeah, good. I need a minute.
I have a 4-second rule. I drop a bomb, I wait 4 seconds. If there isn't a response, I go somewhere else and give you time to think. So, Ellie, you come to with a start. In fact, you come to in terror. You are still backing up in your head. You're trying to get that train's coming. This leg won't work. It's not helping. The train stops. You're safe. And then, fuck it, it's coming again. And there's no time to move. And you're under the train. And before that, you were under it. And it burns. And it was too much. And you shut the hell down. And it's bad to shut down. You can't be helpless. So you fight up out of this. And you're not under the train. You're in a darkly lit doctor's office. You look around, there's 3 other people on other tables in various forms of thrashing around in pain. And there's the doctor who you'd met before, tying the last strap around a splint on your ruined right leg. And your left leg's got a big scar up the shin.
I'm going to ask her how long it's been.
Oh, I owe myself $5. I didn't think you were going to make it.
Tougher than I look.
And then some, young lady. It's been about 5 hours?
Oh.
6 hours?
Ooh. How did I get here?
Your friends, and that new one.
New one?
Tall, thin fella, sickly. Looks like he's been around since God was a little boy.
He was near me?
Miss, I think he would have carried you if it hadn't been for that tall, well-dressed one.
Oh, Lucius. Okay. Where are they now?
As far as I know, and as far as I care, they can all be in hell. Sit back and be quiet, and give me a minute. And she adjusts the strapping on your leg again. And you look down, and there's a set of crutches beside the bed for you. And she says, "I've done everything I can. Flex your toes."
Can I?
And you wiggle and flex your toes. It's weird because the left leg, which just had a train drag up the shin and remove most of the skin, pretty minor. That one actually hurts worse than the leg that she's just splinted. And you move your ankle around a little bit, and she's very good, very good. It's worked then. Stay off it, obviously, as much as possible.
Off which one?
Well, the one I've wrapped up is going to be very painful to walk on for a couple of days, but I've done as much as I can for now. Mechanically speaking, you only have one wound on each leg now. Just a light wound on each leg. She's fixed the other one. That was her healing roll.
Do I still have a wound in my gut?
At this point, I believe I checked. It's actually at this point, as you're checking yourself over. Yes, let's leave that wound to the gut for this reason. Your right leg was shattered and is now wrapped up. Your left leg has got this big rip scar up the shin. You start checking over the rest of your body, and it's like you've got really bad sunburn over the whole front of you. And it's only then that you remember that huge red behemoth falling on you and pinning you to the ground. It's almost burnt enough to peel, but not quite.
When will I be able to walk again, normally?
You said you were tough. You could probably do it now, but use the crutches.
May I leave? I'm not a big fan of hospitals. Too many touching.
I'm not going to stop you, dear. Believe it or not, I'm the same way myself. I am the worst patient ever. Get out, hon. Don't trip on the stairs.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
And you get on the crutches and hobble out the door. From there, you can see the wreckage of the end of the line saloon. It's one little wall standing. Everything is busted and shattered. The sun has almost gone down. And in the wreckage, there's one tiny, thin, limping figure.
I'm going to make my way over there.
You limp over. It's like the meeting of the having difficulty walking society. As you get closer, he has to. You see, he stays in the bar, but you get closer and closer. You walk past and through the window of the newspaper, you see Miss Alice talking with some guy. But you get closer and you see Charlie, and he's got a stick and he's pushing rubble away from a space on the floor, like he's trying to clear a part of the floor. And there's a table and two chairs that he's pushed back under them. And he looks like hell, but on that table there's a 3/4 full bottle of scotch.
Of course. I'm gonna call out, that monster, did you perform a magic trick and he gave that to you?
And he kind of lurches around and looks at you and grabs the bottle defensively, like that's his first thing that he defended, right? It was just to grab the bottle at the safety, and he has a little drink. Oh, it's you, miss. I just lived, just barely.
You were in here.
I was at my chair, ma'am. And he points to the little tiny bit of wall that was left, and there's just like the back of a chair and the back two legs. The seat's been sheared off. I was in my spot, miss.
You know, Charlie, I've seen glowing rail tracks, and I thought that's what made me a believer in the occult. But I must say, your existence is also giving me some pull. There's no chance anyone else...
And his face kind of falls, and he says, Ted's over there. and there's a big pile of rubble. And it's the same with, and he points, and there's an even bigger pile of rubble. It's weird, though, that Alan Campbell fella, he ain't here. And as he says this, he slides another chair under the table, and you watch his left shoulder, which was kind of hanging before, just goes... Oh.
I'm not even going to ask. What do you mean Campbell's not here? Is he buried?
No, I'd know. He's not here.
You're telling me Ted got buried and Campbell walked? Just left?
I was looking at that wall when the train came through because of the sound. He did. It hit him square on, and then he just... Then it hit everybody else. They didn't do the same thing. It was awful, miss.
I point to the rubble. You say Ted's buried here?
Yeah. Help me get a couple more tables set up, and I'll help you dig them out.
I'd appreciate it. And I like go over, and I like almost like flop on my back a little bit and bite my tongue so I don't make a noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then start pulling rocks away.
And behind you, you see him slide that fourth chair in to the table that he's got in this nice little clearing now. And you see him go, ooh! And he reaches into his shirt and he pulls out another playing card, and he opens up his hand, and there wasn't there before, but there's now 3 in this, and they're all beat up and burned, and they're all low numbers if you were close enough to see, and he pulls one. That's where that was. He puts it in his hand. He stands up a little bit straighter, and you hear his back go, tick, tick, tick. Want to see a trick, miss?
I'd like
tables, I'll be able to help you. Sorry?
I'd like to get my friend out first, if you wouldn't mind, Charlie.
Couple more tables and I'll be able to help. But first, this. He goes over and under this other little pile of rubble, you see that you worked there. This is where the expensive booze got kept, that cupboard. He pulls it open. It's completely untouched. And it is full. Much fuller than it ever was before. There's rows of scotch bottles and rye bottles and wine and a whole row of absinthe. Pulls out a bottle. He goes, grabs the absinthe, pulls it out.
Charlie, don't take this the wrong way, but what are you? I just worked here. There is one.
I'm the end of the line, miss.
The saloon's the end of the line. Or at least it was.
Ta-da! And he almost falls over in his weakness. Couple more tables and I'll show you. He starts pushing more rubble away.
For this. I'm just gonna keep hauling rocks and like try to not look at him.
Okay. And every once in a while behind him you hear, oh, that's better. Oh, that's where I found you. And eventually you kind of can't help yourself and you turn and look, and he's up to about 7 cards. And I mean, he's a long ways from healthy still, but he looks better than he did when you got here. And he's got a second table with 2 chairs on it set up. So you want a job after we're finished?
I'm not sure if I'll be able to walk when we're finished.
Oh, we'll put you behind the bar.
Every time you put this thing together, you heal. You think you can fix yourself and the saloon that way?
That's how it works, miss.
How is that possible?
Freddy. My puka.
Right. Well, can you help me with Ted now?
And he slides one more chair in, and his right arm, which was kind of a little limp before, oh, that's better. Yeah, there's probably some of my cards under there too. And he comes over and starts to help you dig Ted out. And it doesn't take long with the two of you. And Charlie won't let you throw any of the rubble outside the building. He insists that you keep it inside the outline of the structure. He's very fussy about that. But it's not long before you find... I mean, he got hit by a train while behind a wooden bar.
I just sob.
Yeah. And you look over beside, and there's this one big, huge arm sticking out from underneath the rubble. And you know that's the bouncer.
These were two good men. They didn't deserve this.
So maybe we rename it.
So what?
I'm sure we'll think of something. In their honor.
My friend, the Undertaker, he'd be able to take care of these bodies. Do you know where he is?
I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to anything outside of here. It's been real quiet.
Don't imagine you know how many people that thing killed.
Well, the two in here. Trips out. I saw a cart go by a couple. It was a lot, miss. Then he looks up, like back up the town and up the hill, and you see like there's 5 or 6 houses taken out, as well as the bar.
Charlie, you seem to know more about this world and others than most. How is it fair that good man like Ted stays here and just tries to protect a man and dies, and I get that thing fall on me and I'm still alive? How is that fair?
I don't mean to be an asshole, miss, but who told you life was fair?
No one. Wishful thinking, I suppose.
Miss, I'm an alcoholic and I can't never get drunk.
My one job was to protect my brother and I failed. I guess we all have our burdens to bear.
You know what you do after you fail, miss? And he very pointedly pushes another chair up to the second table. You rebuild.
At least you would know where to start to rebuild. I'm still looking. Be awfully
Start where
hard
you
now.
are, miss. Start where you are, miss. It's the only place you can be. Hand me that placemat.
I'll
And
give
you
it
look
to-
over and there's a cloth placemat, perfectly clean, sitting on top of a counter behind you. There's no way it was there a minute ago.
I just speechlessly hand it to him.
As you touch it, it turns back into that bouquet of flowers that he gave you the night before. They're a little withered, and there's a couple less of them. And you turn around and look, and there's a bead of sweat running down the side of his face, and he's holding these 5 cards in his hand and just staring at them.
Thank you, Charlie. I suppose I should go. Imagine if I head towards the graveyard, I'll run into my friend. He can put Ted to rest and the bouncer.
One more thing, miss. And he reaches under the counter and comes out with your favorite drink. I don't care what it is. He just reaches under and picks it up and puts it on this little remains of the bar.
Not gonna ask how you know. Cheers.
And just for the
down it.
record, what was it?
She's a whiskey gal.
Okay. Yeah, some like dark amber. Like when you swirl it, it kind of sticks to the glass before it reluctantly goes back to the bottom of the glass. Yeah. Boom. Like liquid fire. And when you put the glass back on the table, the shot glass disappears. And he and one of the cards in his hand sort of turns to ash and falls away. Oh, I gotta get rebuilding, miss. Good luck with your friends.
Thank you. Good luck with your whatever this saloon's going to be called. I'm gonna very painfully stand up and start walking towards the graveyard because I'm assuming I'm gonna run into
Yep.
Lucius.
And I don't do these very often, but after you walk away and are well out of earshot, so this is not something Ellie knows, he looks after your retreating figure and says, I was kind of hoping I'd call it Ellie's. And he goes back to straightening his mess up. There's only one left. So guess who's next? Jett. I wasn't planning on doing this to you guys again. I love this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love doing these scenes, but I was not planning on doing this again. But here we go.
I'm crying.
You should try saying all this shit. Jett. We're going to jump time a little bit because this is the next morning. These guys are all going to have a night's rest in between here. But the next morning you wake up and it's not a jarring because it's not from a dream. You hardly know how this works, like this slow waking up where you feel that there's a pressure on your forehead and you realize that's because you're face down on a table. But it's still pretty comfortable. So maybe just rub it for a second and it'll go away. And then your fingers sort of jam into the table and it takes you a minute. You sit one eye stuck shut with sleep. You lean back and, I mean, first things first, you really need to pee.
I guess I'll go take care of that.
Take care of that, yes.
Well, does when, just for making sure I understand, when I healed, I only healed my arm, right?
You have that arm is completely healed, and there's one wound on that arm,
Okay.
and a scratch on the other one.
Okay.
So you took the scar and you took the maim, but you healed 4 points of damage on that arm in the process.
Got it. Well, I would try to start to stand up, but my leg is like, how bad is serious again? You're hobbling at that point.
That is, that's 3 of 5. So it was, 1 is a limp, 2 is a limp with your hand on it. 3 is like using the table to help you across the room. And you weren't you at critical? I thought you were at 4 on that leg.
Was I?
Initially.
I don't remember.
And then now you're down to 1 because of this.
Oh,
Or sorry, 1 in your arm. Sorry. The leg is completely healed. There's 1 wound in your arm. That's how that worked. Right.
Oh, okay.
So it healed 4 wounds, cost you 1.
Gotcha. Okay, so I still have the wound in my leg though, right?
No, it's gone. Your leg is completely healed.
Oh, it completely negates all
the steps up to that step.
Oh, that's
Well, it wouldn't be
remarkable.
worth trading. I mean, otherwise the math wouldn't work very well. But no,
That's amazing. Okay, that changes everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm going to pee.
So you and you hop up and it's, oh, wait a minute. It's not, and then, wait a minute. Baser urges and outside and back inside. The sun's bright in the morning on your face. You come back inside and there's a raven sitting on the desk. You closed the door. The windows are closed, but you saw her fly right through the window last night, which reminds you of last night. You look down at your arms. And she's kind of rocking back and forth from foot to foot on the desk, flapping her arms a little bit.
What are you?
And she stops and gives you raven stink eye and grows. And there's now a middle height lady standing on that counter where that raven was. Long black hair, dark skin, clothing made out of mostly leather, that blue hair, bluish black hair. And And she says, "What am I?
Who?
After last night, what am I?" Hands on the hips.
And I just sit down in the chair and I'm just kind of slunk down. I'm like, who? I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening. This is new.
And as soon as she sees how uncomfortable you are, she reaches up with her foot and kind of pushes her hat down over your eyes. And as you adjust it, you see her jumping back off the other side of the desk. She lands in the middle of the sheriff's office and she holds out her hand. She says, "Dance with me. Dance with me. Come."
And I just take her hand and get up real awkward because Jett.
And you're like, "Are we waltzing? Or are we foxtrotting? Are we?" And you're thinking to yourself, there's no music. And she says, "Listen, listen, listen." And she puts her hand on your chest and you can hear your heart. Boom, 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 boom. And she starts dancing to the sound of your heart, to that beat. Dance.
Okay.
There's no rules, there's no rules, Jett. Dance.
This is all weird, but I'm just moving real awkward. Like if somebody walked in right now, it's just like
spurs clank. You're dancing like everybody's watching, not like nobody's watching.
I'm just like, I don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Very tense, very awkward, trying to get into it, but just very lost.
And she starts to laugh at you and says, "Oh, you'll get better. Harder. Like you mean it." And she's now like basically head banging from the waist up and spinning in circles.
And at this point, I'm healed. Shit's been weird. I've been tense, so I just let it all go. And I'm just like going hard, going ham.
And you start moving with her and she makes you a better dancer. And it's just, you start doing the things that she's doing and you forget that the windows are open. You forget that there's people in this town. You forget the room you're in. You're just gone in this dance. And I mean, you're hard, and a strange thing happens with time because you watch the light that's coming through the window, that dawn light, that box of light, thank you, creeps across the floor. And that can only mean one thing. Time is passing. Half an hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours. And after that last sort of recognition of that space, you look back up at her and she's just covered in sweat. Her clothes are stuck to her. You look down, realize yours are too. And when you look back up, you stumble and you drop to your knees. You are exhausted. You are every bit as tired as you are after a nightmare. You on your hands and knees on the floor of this sheriff's office with a burning power coursing through your body. And you look down at your arms and that one just zips up. That wound is gone. And you look over at that one and the scar is gone. And that sense of energy fails from you. And you're back to just exhausted. And you force yourself to your feet. I'll say it again, every bit as tired as you would be after your worst nightmares that you've ever had. With that, the rest of you get back into town that evening. Anything anybody is doing before going to bed?
I might want to see if I can find where everybody is, because I
yeah,
don't
that's
know.
right. You were heading for, you were heading for
I
the
don't know if
cemetery.
anybody's alive or...
These two are coming back from the cemetery, and
we run
Miss
into her?
Alice is there. So, yeah, you would certainly run into them, basically where I've got them on the map. They're coming out of the trees back into town with this cart, just as you get here. It is now all but dark.
I stopped the cart.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like oh my god. And also try to hide my hands. So.
Okay.
Well, because they're all
Lucius looks
published.
nervous, which is kind of weird because you're not used to seeing Lucius look nervous. Actually, Hannah, make very small chance. Make an occult check for me. And if you don't have that, just give me one academia, whatever that die is.
Hold on. Academia?
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think I have a cult.
No, I would be very surprised with doubting Thomas as an ability. Occult really wouldn't make much sense.
No.
Oh, you could be like a debunker. That would be an interesting character.
Yeah. Well, I don't have doubting Thomas anymore. I became,
That's right. Okay, so yeah.
but I don't have a cult. So what
No.
would I roll?
In that case, just roll one of your academia die. And because you're no longer a doubting Thomas, I'm not going to give you the -4 penalty that would normally go with not having a cult. Yeah. All you there's just a little flicker of memory in your head somewhere after being fallen on, somewhere after the train landed on you, just as you were fading in that grayness of not being here before you're actually unconscious. Somebody called you Lily.
Okay.
And you remember that when you see these two riding into town on this cart.
I'm
You
just
guys see Ellie limp on her crutches, purposefully limping towards you, apparently willing to go the whole half mile to the cemetery on her crutches.
I get a little bit closer and I stop the carriage and get down, nervously trying to hide my hands. It's like, Miss Ellie, I see you're okay. Glad to see you're fine.
I'm glad to see you are as well. I take it it's been a bit of a rough night for an Undertaker.
Yes, you could say that. Do you need a ride into town?
Well, that would be nice. Otherwise, I might not arrive till morning. There was someone, a friend, Ted, the bartender, and I think Larry, I think his name was, the bouncer. They're buried.
Ted, the one who offered me a drink, right? Gave me a drink. Ted? Oh my.
I unburied Ted at least, but do you think you'd be able to give them? They just don't deserve to just be laying there like that.
Absolutely, Ellie. I will take care of that personally. He was
Thank
a good
you.
man.
And here I have you to thank to getting me to the doctors as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Couldn't stand seeing a friend in such turmoil.
I
Would
appreciate
it be
it.
fair to say at this point that Lucius is not making eye contact
Yeah,
with Ellie, like anywhere but looking at her?
yeah.
Do I notice that?
Yeah, it's obvious. There's a history of him not being able to hide his emotions.
Lucius, did something happen? You seem, I mean, granted, everyone's on edge, but is something wrong?
No. Sorry. Just I have a lot on my mind. Let me help you in the cart if I may.
One thing, it might be nothing. It might just be my mind playing tricks on me after having a devil in a train on me, but does the name Lily mean anything to you? I thought it was the last thing I remember hearing before I passed out.
Just pale white. I'm sweating, and I just no, I've never heard that name.
He's lying through his teeth, and it is so blatantly obvious that there is, yeah. He looks like he's about to throw up. He look basically like he looks right now.
It must have been. You must be catching a fever, or you should be in bed. You're just recovering. It's been what, 5 hours? So what
And
did I
he
get you?
kind of hauls you into the cart. Your leg bangs quite uncomfortably on the edge of it.
Touches me?
Oh,
Oh no!
Okay.
I offer first as a gentleman.
Of
right?
course. Pardon me for speaking for you. Please tell the story.
I am going to tentatively put my hand on his shoulder and just say, I've lost people too. Thank you for the ride. And then just step up on the carriage.
A sheepish smile and help her up carefully.
And I like to think that Baptiste has exactly the same face on that Ryan does right now. Just kind of
Seeing as you basically have to step up into where Baptiste is sitting.
Yeah.
Baptiste will sort of, as you right before then, stand up and throw a leg over so that he's riding in the back, but will reach his hand out to shake Ellie's hand.
Also, is there a blanket? I'll just offer a blanket or something.
There's
or a sheet.
Winding sheets. It's an Undertaker's cart.
I offer a sheet. Just it's cold out, right?
Are those what the bodies were in?
This one's fresh and clean. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. And I don't take Baptiste's hand, but I just give him kind of a friendly nod and say, I don't believe we've met. My name's Ellie. I'm a friend of Lucius's.
Well, we have met after a fashion. You were quite unconscious. It is nice to see you have healed and are ambulatory. Our friend Lucius here was quite the paragon of chivalry. Carried you the entire way himself. It was quite a sight to behold.
You must be who the doctor was referring to. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, he looks exactly like the doctor described. This is, I mean, he's especially for a person your character's age. This is an old man in an old hat and with some old guns and just old. He's out of a Wild West that's long gone, even at this time and place. But he's also, on top of all that, has a religious stole around his neck, the purple stole with the gold crosses on it.
Well, I can't say that I'm a very religious person myself, Father. I'm sorry, but for those who unfortunately aren't with us and are, I hope you were able to give them what they required to rest.
I'm not that kind of priest, ma'am.
My apologies. I shouldn't have assumed.
We're not too far out. Perhaps the two of you could enjoy more of a conversation. It's a nice night. I'll walk the rest of the way. Lucius, I'll catch you later.
Yes, a sheepish bow.
I'll catch you later.
Yes, of course. Thank you again. Thank
It
you
was a
again.
pleasure to meet you.
So far.
Heads off into
He
the darkness.
bundles his coat around him.
Yeah. Heads off into the darkness, because that's how you follow that line, is with the walking off into the darkness moment.
Yeah, he walks towards town.
Yeah. Man, it's like I said, you're not far away. You're basically the wreckage field away from the town. So that does.
Can I ask? I'm going to ask Lucius about Jett and Miss Alice, because last I saw, Jett was not in good shape, and Alice had just chucked a stick of dynamite at the devil. So,
And we will get to that right after we do a quick break, because it's that time. Oh man, I was not planning to do that again, but we did it. So let's do that some more.
Know me is that which always has been and always will be. For fuck's sake, Marty, right now. Sorry, guys. Hey, this is Jonathan. Marty's having kind of an episode. I'm gonna take care of him for a minute here. But I wanted to let you know about a few things that we got going on, just so we don't forget. When we get to 400 followers, we got another giveaway. Gonna be giving away one of those sweet roll-up scroll dice trays from Elderwood Academy. We also have a new game starting up October 3rd, The Pontus Rises, and you'll actually learn more about that on our break video. And we've got another announcement that we can go. We have clearance to tell you. We have a very special guest joining us in a couple weeks on October 7th on Too Many Warlocks. Joe Cat of the Crap Guide to D&D and Crap Guide to Monster Hunter World fame over on YouTube is actually going to be playing with the Warlocks, and it promises
so lucky. I feel so lucky.
So jealous. You
to
have
be
no
quite
idea.
interesting.
Why couldn't it have been October 6th?
Right? For I shall always
Okay, we gotta go. We'll go to break here. We'll see if I can calm him down, and we'll get the rest of the announcements when we get back for eternity. All right, hey guys, Jonathan here again. Yeah, one more reminder. If we get I think it's at this point 2 more subscribers over on a YouTube channel, we can finally customize our domain, which makes it a lot easier to post. So if anyone out there is not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and grab that link. Well, actually, it's sitting there right in the chat. It's also down there in the panels. And just give us this little subscribe, just to help us out, so we can make our lives easier with the URL and all that sort of stuff. Marty, you gonna be okay? Yeah. Sorry, I just forget where I am sometimes, But I don't want you all forgetting we got a special going on down here at the Trading Post this week. 2 for 1 Ghost Rock toothpicks. Buy one, give one to your friend, because this is the last toothpick you'll ever need. Never wears down, leaves your mouth feeling minty fresh like limitless psychic power. For I am the arbiter of your dreams and your nightmares. Okay.
Father Baptiste,
I
you may
wondered
need
why
your
he worked
assistance.
so cheap. Oh, Marty. Oh, somebody put that boy back in his cage.
Oh my
We're going to need him at the end of the night again. Oh, my goodness.
We got a whole subplot going on here, man.
Oh, yeah, we got
The
Speaking
plot
of
thickens.
subs, it's only one sub. One sub.
we're one away.
One away. All right.
What? Back where we were, back in here. So for you guys, well, I guess we still got 2 people that aren't where they're going to be for the night. We have Lucius and Ellie on the cart coming into town. Let's start
Yeah, I just asked if what happened to Miss Alice and Jett, if they were okay.
Last I checked, Lady Alice was perfectly fine. She's probably doing her work doing her photographer work. Jett was a bit banged up, but Jett's, you can take a few shots.
I'm glad to hear they didn't join how many other people that weren't as lucky.
Yes, indeed. Ellie, do me a favor. At dark, just stay inside and stay away from the bodies.
Wasn't exactly planning on making best friends with them. Why would you bring that up?
Well, we were at the Father Baptiste and I were at the graveyard, and when we put them in shadow, the bodies moved.
Moved how?
As in, they were moving. They were standing up, I think. Were they standing up, Kevin?
No,
No,
they
okay,
were
well,
basically juddering.
Okay, yeah.
And Jeb gave you the impression that the longer they were in the dark, the more violent that became.
Okay, so I'll explain that.
But there was no conscious control. They're not coming back.
Okay. So, more like they jitter around, and the longer they are in the darkness, they seem to get more violent.
Have you ever heard of something like that?
Not to my knowledge. No.
I mean, Miss Alice was talking about the ghost rock making people act strange or insane. Do you think that could have had something to do with it?
Nope. Not when everybody else witnessed that, the workers included. I think this is somewhat of a common knowledge in this town, if I had to guess.
I mean, the ghost rock affecting the bodies that would make them jitter like that. Do you think it causes, I don't know if a dead person can feel insanity, but, that sort of reaction in a dead person?
It's a possibility. But on the other hand, it's also been known to do the opposite. Very peculiar.
I mean, you'd probably know better than me, but I don't think all this, whatever's going on in this town, I don't think it's an exact science.
I have some thinking to do tonight. A little bit of tinkering, perhaps.
Father Baptiste, he seemed a bit odd. You've seen him more. What's your impression of him?
I just, again, go pale.
Yep. Any paler, you'd be transparent.
He's... How do I describe him? He's very good at his work.
What is his work? He said he's not the kind of preacher I assumed that would be hanging around a graveyard, so what...
To be honest, I'm not sure. He's good at what he does. I can't describe it. It's really hard to describe this man, honestly.
Interesting.
His hands keep going up to his face as he talks, and you can't help but notice his fingernails are torn. There's blood on the end of his fingers. And as he's doing this on his face, he's leaving little tiny red spots that he's clearly not aware of, and they are standing out because of his excessive paleness, even in the setting sun.
Were you digging their graves with your hands?
Yes. Well, as you know, my shovel was broken. I don't know if you saw that.
Wasn't really paying attention, to be honest.
Yeah, that damn devil took a swipe at him and he just caught it and just snapped it in half. I'm gonna need a new one.
And there was no tools you could use? Your hands look destroyed. That must be horribly painful.
Yeah. It'll be fine. Nothing a little bandage up can fix up.
All right, if you're sure. Listen, Lucius, I'm the last person that should be telling anybody to open up, but I can obviously see something's bothering you. I'm not going to push you, but know that part of a bartender's job is not to be judgmental. I'm always here if you need.
Well, I really appreciate that, Miss Ellie. Thank you.
Just Ellie. I don't have Miss Alice's class.
No, you have something else entirely, I'd say.
Other than a shattered knee?
And
You should get
at
some
that
rest.
moment,
You're exhausted.
and at that moment, the two of you realize the cart and the horse pulled up in front of the hotel about 30 seconds ago. You guys were just sitting there talking. You kind of come out of it now.
If I may, I'll help you. I'll help you to your room.
Sure, I take his hand this time and let him help me out of the cart.
Pop down on the good leg, and even that one hurts.
Yeah, I wince, but don't make a noise.
Yeah. And the best dressed man in paradise gives you the elbow and walks you first class into the bar or into the hotel for the evening. Baptiste, you were just going back to your room, or was there anything else you wanted to get done in this evening?
Yeah, he was actually just about. He was just a little way away from the cart on all of this, back on his horse. So he pulls up probably just about the time that Lucius is helping Ellie out of the cart.
I should mention that when Dan did whatever Dan did, whoever was coming by at that time, Alice is when he basically
she just walked past. I think it was it Jett or was it Ellie? Ellie, I think she just walked past and saw you through the window. So
if anybody was going by at the exact time that happened, Alice backed up from him, and she was in such a shock that she actually dropped, threw her wine glass on the ground. Like that.
Twice? So shocked it happened 3 times?
Yeah. Because she probably stepped on it as she ran out. Because she...
Mazel tov.
Pretty much. Because she kind of dropped her glass and then she said, "Who are you?" And then she like kind of doing the thing where you like keep your eye on the person that you're, and you kind of like back, you kind of back out, and then
Here's the thing: you're backing towards the door, and his hand goes to the drawer of his desk, and he pulls the top drawer open, and he's smiling at you, and he's still got the wine glass in the other hand, or the wine tumbler. And he pulls out a newspaper, great big one, big thick one. And he tosses it in your general direction. It lands on one of the other desks and slides towards you.
I guess I'll look at it.
It's from the city of Los Angeles. It's the Los Angeles Times. And
that's good.
The cover story is an expose of Brother Grimm, the religious leader of the entire state. And the byline is not Dan Comfort, but the picture sure as hell is.
What's the byline? What's the byline?
I want to make sure I get this right. Oh, I had him over here. Okay. Daniel Clark.
Okay. Would I recognize that name?
Give me a.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got newspaper in?
No, I've got writing.
Give me your writing. This is for reasons. I'll explain it if you make it.
Okay.
Yeah, you made it. Heard of him? Shit, you studied his work in school. This is one of the greatest investigative reporters in America, and he disappeared about 4 years ago after writing an expose on Brother Grimm. This explains why there was never any pictures in the textbooks.
Okay.
Not even drawings.
So Alice is like...
He slides the tumbler of wine over to your side of the table. And leans back.
Whatever's left in it, Alice chugs it. She just throws it back.
So I'd very much appreciate it if you kept my secret.
She's looking around and she said, "Do you have another wine glass?"
I can do better than that. And he gets up and heads to the back, the room right beside the photography room. There's a room that you thought must have been storage, but he opens it up and it's actually a standing wine cellar. There's about 10 different bottles in there. You can see a couple spaces where some have been taken out, and he's bump. He pulls the bottle out. It's not as dusty as the one that you guys just finished. And it's not as old, and it's not quite as nice, but I mean, you're the kind of lady who puts numbers on things, especially right now. It's about a $70 bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm.
And he reaches underneath the very bottom of this wooden case and pulls out 2 wine glasses that have been resting on the concrete to keep them cool.
I imagine he pours the drinks. I imagine
he
okay.
Well, actually, it's red wine, so he pops it and sets it aside
Lets it
to
air.
let it breathe. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an aerator.
Yeah, well. Alice she's pretty flustered. She's like, she says, "Well."
He's gone into full newspaper man where he's just sitting there grinning at you, and you know he's not going to speak first.
She says, "They say you should never meet your heroes." She says, "You just left everything that you had built."
It seemed better than dying.
dying. Why would you? And like,
You've never lived in a theocracy, have you, Miss? I'm sorry, Miss Alice.
no.
There's one rule. Don't speak ill of those that claim to be God. There's never any good with rules. And he pours the wine. And you look back at the headline again, and yeah, it's an expose about how Brother Grimm is abusing the religious powers that he has to overtax and overtithe and
I can't. Okay, I know this, but I can't remember. I think Alice knows that Lucius is from the city of Los Angeles.
yeah, actually, the very last episode there was oh no, the guys were off by themselves. That was Baptiste and Lucius were off together. So
Yeah.
but yeah, he's it's now canon that he has an accent. So yes.
I did tell you on the train, actually.
Okay, that's what I
there
thought.
you go.
I
Yeah.
thought that he told us that. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, he did.
So she's, and I mean, Dan only left in the last 4 years. So there's a chance that their paths may have crossed. She's thinking, at least.
Yeah.
So she's going to say, is anyone else in town from the city of Los Angeles? Recognize anyone?
You get so you can kind of tell. You know what I mean? They've got a way of standing, way of moving. I don't think so.
Probably for the best.
It's one of the reasons I came to this town, because everyone's from somewhere else.
So, how did you find out about this town?
You know how when you look at a map, you're looking for something? Well, what if I told you I looked at a map and looked for a place that didn't have anything? And I went there.
She's starting to feel a little more comfortable, but she's still uncomfortable just by the how he was acting and how he's acting now.
Mhm.
So she will kind of, when he says that, she's like, nothing. I couldn't even find a post to match the rest of my outfit.
And he kind of laughs, like the tension is eased a little bit. And he refills your wine. Refills his own. So you understand that when we walk out the door, I have to go back to Southern comfort?
It all makes sense now. And do you understand that you still never read that telegram?
I don't know what telegram you're talking about, Miss Alice.
Yeah. Turns out it was just a misunderstanding anyway.
And he visibly shakes and you see him concentrate for a second, and it's Dan behind the table again. This wine's really good, miss.
Alice kind of like sips, like she like sips her wine, and she's like looking him in the eyes, very uncomfortable. Like the ease with which, I mean, Alice is good at disguises and performing and stuff like that, but the ease with which he just completely flipped in and back out of that.
Yep.
She says, well, with that, I do think it's time that I retire for the evening and see if I can't locate my friends.
You want an escort, Miss Alice?
Not from you.
Thank you, Miss Alice. And he salutes you with the wine glass.
And she leaves, but she still is like backing towards the door, just watching him like a hawk. And she'll keep her the wine glass with her, and right before she leaves, take one last sip and sit the wine glass on the closest table next to the door.
Yep.
And then just open the doors and leaves.
And yeah, the door closes behind you and you head up the street, all confused.
Yeah.
And make your way back to the hotel.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Baptiste, just before you went to bed, you said did you have anything else? Because you met these guys just outside?
Yeah, actually, if it's possible, then having met Lucius and Ellie again, as he pulls up and kind of hops off the horse, says, now I know that it's just now getting to be sunset. Hopefully before we all turn in, perhaps the group of us could all meet up, your very well-dressed friend and the odd one. We could all spend some time speaking here in the lobby over dinner. And he's just talking straight to Lucius.
Yes, absolutely.
I believe I might be able to shed some light on our next few steps.
And I've had a few ideas of myself, actually, which I'll share with you tomorrow.
Oh, yes, please. Miss Ellie, would you and I be able to sit, have some dinner, maybe a drink, while the others are rounded up?
I just kind of look uncomfortably at Lucius. Just the two of us?
Well, I'm sure that there'll be waitstaff.
Suppose.
The last time I saw you, you were nearly dead. Just want to make sure you're doing all right. Plus, I'm sure you could... And, he becomes older. I'm sure you could humor a gentle old man with a little bit of dinner while everybody shows up.
Yes, well, you can't be too cautious, otherwise I wouldn't be standing here.
Kind of opens the door, and you can't help but see the incredibly well-made handguns slung gunfighter style at his waist. Caution is always respected.
Especially when you can't walk very fast. And I just look at Lucius. You won't be long, right?
Nope, not at all.
And there is a small, fairly public lounge, not really a bar. It's just sort of an extension of the lobby. Liquor laws are not what they are now. It's just tables in front of the welcome mat, and the bottle is on it, so you guys can sit, right there and have drinks quite easily. Lucius, you were going where?
I guess I'm gathering the rest of the group.
Okay.
Because that's the plan, right? To gather everyone up tonight?
Yeah. To make this simple, Lady Alice is coming down the street as we speak. No one's seen Jett since horrible things happened to him, and apparently nobody gives a shit. He's been missing in action for 6 hours. Nobody's even gone looking for him, but
hey, I've been
he's a cowboy. He's fine.
I saw where he went, but I didn't know it was weird.
Technically, I know where he went to.
Yep. So yeah, you guys know where he is. I was just having a little fun.
Oh, you're still here.
The thing is, when you go to get him, he won't wake up.
Oh. I just give him a gentle slap, Jett.
The first time you touch him, it's like static electricity. It's just damn it.
Fascinating.
That's weird. And you touch him again, it's like a 9-volt battery, like putting your tongue on a 9-volt battery. It's a little worse.
Okay, don't touch. Do I see that bird.
Nope.
Okay.
Just a
Probably for the
passed
best.
out Jett, just face down on the sheriff's desk. Probably a quill and a piece of paper under his face.
I the feather just a little bit. I like
His
then
hat's
I
all
just,
smooshed.
and I just well, he's out of commission. Okay. I guess I go get Alice. I'll have to wake him up in the morning.
So yeah, the rest of you are there for that. I'm so sorry, Sky. I really didn't think this was gonna go this long.
No, I think it's hilarious. I like that. I like that bit that you can't wake me up because I was really like, how's this gonna work?
I've run games for a long time. Takes more than that to throw me.
Dig it.
But sorry, yeah, you are still sleeping. I'm not done with you, but you're still sleeping.
In the few minutes before they show up, if we're able to order whatever it is that Ellie wants, of course. But Baptiste will sort of take a second to say, Ellie, your last name, Miss.
Why, with all due respect, why do you want to know?
Old habits are hard to shake. Any good man from Savannah doesn't use the first name of a woman he's not friends with yet. And, well, with all due respect, you don't seem to be all that friendly. At least not to me. Miss
Reynolds. Forgive
You
my
said-
manners.
There's nothing to forgive at all. You said you're not too religious, but would you mind a short prayer over dinner? And he gestures just to the drinks.
If I can get some food, sure. I haven't eaten since I had a demon fall on me.
That is a story I'm very interested to hear about. But he does reach both his hands out and just kind of looks expectantly like hey, join hands in prayer.
Isn't it not unfamiliar in cultures to pray like this? If you wouldn't mind.
Well, sure. I don't know how lay of hands works when someone won't touch you. So, Sheriff Kevin, that's your call.
Ooh, what are you attempting to do?
To take the last 2 points of wounds that are causing her to limp.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say you would have to make contact to do that. So unfortunately, without being able to touch her, it's not going to work. I hate saying no.
No.
Saying yes and, but in this case,
No. So he sort of just he just shrugs and closes his eyes for a second and apparently does some sort of prayer.
And the drinks are blessedly good.
Yeah, I didn't get your last name.
Saint Armand.
Again, forgive me with my manners. I've traveled a lot, and unfortunately, just because you look nice, a lot of men think that gives you permission to do whatever you'd like. You can't be too cautious.
Oh, that is something that I would completely agree with. Absolutely. I don't take any offense. I was simply trying to be helpful. You said you've traveled a lot. Have you made your ways into the heart of the South or Texas, perhaps?
I'm from the South, actually.
Well, I guess then I should be. I'm happy to hear that this is the first time you've heard of me. Perhaps we should wait till your friends arrive.
Perhaps we should.
And at that point, the other two walk through the door. Squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. Swinging doors.
probably found out Alice and was like, "Okay, we gotta go. Let's go."
Right outside. It's the easiest job. She
Dinner
was the easiest
now.
job you've ever had. You walked outside and she was coming up the street.
Perfect.
Then you
Let's
went
go.
and tried to wake up Jett. Didn't work, so you came back just as Miss Alice was getting to the door.
We're going for dinner now. No time for chit chat. Just a lot of things. Sorry about the informality. Just let's go.
Alice will kind of like
I'm already gone.
she'll like smack him on the hand when he's like doing all this. Like she's like, "What are you doing? Like that's not."
We got a lot of things to discuss. I apologize for the formality. The father and Ellie are waiting for us at the inn for dinner.
You mean shoot and pray?
Yes, shoot and pray.
And she'll like begrudgingly follow him in.
Follow him in or wait for him to hold the door for you?
Of course I will hold
Sorry,
the door open for
sorry to jump in, but
I mean, I honestly I didn't expect him to based on the way he's acting.
well,
she put me in her place a
door.
bit.
Oh, you reach for it. She bumps you out of the way with her large red shoulder of her gown, and the door pretty much right in your face.
One thing,
Leaves you holding it, and she's inside.
One thing, did I notice the newspaper she was her stuff that was wrapped up? Just the paper in general.
Did you take that? I assumed that you left all of that there in the shock.
I didn't take it.
Daguerreotype prints and his newspaper and all of that.
No, I took the daguerreotype.
Okay,
I took one daguerreotype.
One. Okay.
But I didn't take the paper because I felt like it should stay.
Yeah,
there.
it's his secret, and you agreed to keep it. So, yeah. So yeah, you wouldn't see much except maybe a paper envelope sticking out of her locally purchased bag.
Because you said they used yesterday's newspaper, right, to wrap the.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
When they come in,
another, yeah.
when Baptiste stands whenever Miss Alice comes in and pulls a chair out.
She, of course, before she sits down, she'll stop and reach her hand out.
Friar Baptiste Saint Ormond, Miss
O'Hare.
Miss O'Hare. I believe your friends earlier called you Alice O'Hare.
That is correct.
Can I make my sort of local thing to see if I recognize the family name?
You certainly can, and I would like Miss Alice to do the same thing, please.
Okay. So would that be home county?
Yep.
Right, let me. I want to get back to the rolling thing so I actually see what it pops up.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh dear. Father, you immediately, I got this. I remember this. This is a famous newspaper family from back east. The O'Hares. That is completely wrong, by the way, but that is what Baptiste remembers.
Sure.
On the other side of it, Miss Alice, that name is up there with Daniel Price. Not for the same reasons, but the same level of, there's something about Baptiste Saint Laurent, is it?
Armand.
Armand, Saint Armand? Yeah.
Saint Armand.
Saint Armand, yeah. Or Baptiste Saint Armand, as my uncles would call him. There's something about that name. It doesn't, you don't know what it is, but that name is famous.
If I'm from the south as well, would I have to roll that as well? Because I didn't.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. And what, there was a well coming from.
I'll wait until after the roll.
Nope, sorry, that one. That was the. Oh man,
no
that's
clue.
4. You guys rolled 4 ones in a row.
Yeah. I'm glad I wasn't a part of that.
Yeah, so even though it may be completely for the wrong reasons, Baptiste will say, well, Miss Alice O'Hare, it is truly humbling to be in the presence of such a notariable name. I'm sure my father would be proud I'm finally in circles he'd approve of. The senator was not happy with my chosen vocation.
Does
Guillaume Saint Armand, the senator of Georgia, retired some 20 or 30 years ago. Can't outrun the family name, I'm afraid. Please, ma'am, would you sit?
Did he? When I reached my hand out, did he take my hand?
Yeah, he takes it, kisses the back of it. Like, barely.
She would like when he takes it and when the realization kind of hits her, because when they take it, it's kind of like this. So she would actually just subconsciously, I guess, like squeeze her hand when the realization hits her that she recognizes the name. So he would probably notice that. But then she immediately, just remembers who she is and
yeah, because there's class, right? There's other people, then there's Alice level of rich class, and then there's class. This man in front of you is a true Southern gentleman.
Yeah. So she would kind of flex her hand at first and then kind of like, nope, and kind of remember who she is. And then just, curtsy as he does the thing. And then she'll have a seat and she'll say, yes, I am finding out that outrunning the family name is quite a task.
It would seem that I was drawn here at an auspicious time, and that you lot, plus your sickly-looking friend.
Where is Jett?
Yeah, I have not seen him.
Sorry, he couldn't make it. He's fallen in a very deep sleep, and I tried waking him. I can't really explain why I can't wake him, actually. He seems to have a very staticky effect.
Well, he's always tired, I guess. Actually,
it was
thing.
Lucius, like, I also kind of look at Lucius, like, pointedly, like, did he seem to be sleeping like he always does?
No, now that you mention it, he seemed actually at peace for once.
Does that trick enough anything for an occult roll for Baptiste?
It's not even an occult roll. That was pretty obvious. This at the very actually give me an occult roll for sure, because at the very least you're going to realize that this they're talking about a man who regularly has very, very bad dreams. And then give me that occult roll to see what more you can draw from this.
Oh,
that's better. That is much better. You get bad dreams. You are a man who understands bad dreams. You also understand that it's not always a good thing when the bad dreams don't come. Sometimes that means something else is sneaking up on you.
Okay. Baptiste takes his duster off, this big, long, black, weathered coat, and as he sets it across the back of the chair, you can see how really just rail thin he is. And not only does he have the 2 guns at his side, but there's actually a gun holster at like the small of the back that's another incredibly ornate pistol. And there's just barely a glint of something metallic hidden behind the lapel of his jacket, which I don't know how well people see it or not.
Is anybody seriously paying attention? This is
Try a scrutinize. Is that what? Or
I don't want you to tell me what skill you're going to use. I want you to tell me, after all that's happened today, would you have been looking at him close enough when he pulled that jacket off?
Probably
Alice
not.
is, because Alice is trying to figure out.
This perfect Southern gentleman. I was going to give you
guns
the,
are
you can
just-
have it. Yeah.
His guns are giving me flashbacks from my nightmares, so no.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your eyes never leave those two on her.
And
That
Alice
makes
is,
perfect
listen,
sense.
Alice has already had one person like on her today, so she's
Yep.
like, all right, what? Hold on.
So Ellie?
No.
No.
I'm like scooting over. I already knew that Lucius said that Miss Alice wasn't hurt, but I'm like double checking for myself just to make sure that.
She has a light wound on her arm, but
You guys are all scuffed to some extent.
or no, hold on. Nope, it's her guts. So she has a light wound in the guts.
It hardly shows on the red
Yeah.
dress.
Yeah, exactly.
All the petticoats are holding it all in. It's all good.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, anything that the four of you sitting around the table, you're all here to get, at least all but Jett is here. I'm coming,
when-
Sky. I'm coming, man.
When Alice is
Um,
sick, I'm just gonna say, I'm glad to see you made it out unscathed, Miss Alice.
Well, of course. I wish that you had as well.
Yeah, well, train had to hit somebody, I suppose.
I do have a sort of. Have you been to the bar?
Yes,
Okay.
Charlie's the only one that made it out. Except for, he did say Mr. Campbell just disappeared. Not died.
Yeah, that was odd. He was also doing some very odd things. I don't know. He was doing some sort of tricks or something. I don't know.
What exactly is it you mean by odd and disappeared, ladies?
He was he was fixing the bar, but he kept making it appear as by fixing the bar he was fixing himself. He mentioned something about a puka. I don't know what in the world that means.
I'll do an occult check on hearing an puka.
Sure. And just because of Ryan's facial reaction last week when I said this man had a puka in him, I'm giving you the knowledge. And for anybody who doesn't know whether their characters do or not, this is a real thing in as much as these sorts of things and mythologies are real things. This is a being which essentially picks a human to ride, and they absorb all the alcohol that human consumes, so that human can never get drunk. The problem with pukas is they are great, wonderful, marvelous companions until they sober up, and then all hell breaks loose.
Was that all? I didn't want to. Was I also able to do some sort of check from the thing that was glinting in his?
I'll assume I got that with an 11.
That you can give me a perception for, please, Sarah.
Would that be-
Yeah, you got that from the you know what are the basics of a puka.
So yeah, Baptiste and Lucius share a look. Then, if you're cool with that, over
Yeah. Oh yeah.
over Puka.
Huh, I guess that huckster's a lot more interesting than I thought he was.
Apparently,
I had heard of him, I've never met him, though.
Well, he's still fixing up the saloon if you want to go by.
Well,
He's-
I'm gonna have to. I'm going to, attend to your late friends. So.
Is there any attempt by Baptiste to hide? Did he even notice the flash?
no,
No.
it's the charm that's always there. So, yeah, I mean,
Miss Alice,
Clearly.
you've seen this work. I like this because you're used to just a location kind of gets you. You've seen
Yeah.
Jett with glinty things in this
Mhm.
location. Baptiste, what is it she sees?
you see a very, well, not actually very old, 1970, 1870. It is an older version of a sheriff's badge from the Arizona territory. And Sheriff Kevin, was that good enough to see the name on it?
No, let's not give the name quite yet. But instead of that, if I may offer in return, a dint in the shape of a bullet.
Yeah.
Alice isn't. She's not gonna. She's gonna log that one in the vault.
But
for
it
later.
is. It's pinned to the lapel in a way that it's like it's pinned on the inside, like it's not meant to be seen by everybody. Almost like a.
Yeah.
Like the FBI sort of Secret Service, right?
Yeah.
It's like that, and you just saw it when he took the jacket off. The vest kind of pulled open, and you saw it underneath.
So it seems, Lucius, we have a puka, we have a demon, we have a prince of demons, and we have a rich young man who can disappear at will.
Well, can't all Richmond young men disappear at will? Alice says, as if she's had some experience with this subject.
Yeah. I'm assuming, given
she
Hannah's
just-
response, I'm assuming Ellie snorted out loud at that point.
I'm not Miss Alice. It was a very unladylike snort out loud.
I just nervously laughed. Just like,
Oh, don't they all, Miss Alice? Don't they all?
They sure seem to.
But I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened. You'd have to speak to Charlie. He's the strangest person I've ever met, but he's actually quite charming. But he would know better than I what actually happened. He just said he disappeared.
So, well, there's a potential that our benefactor is still alive. That's kind of a good thing.
There is also the matter that Mr. Lucius here and I, quite a few of these poor unfortunate souls that have found themselves dead seem to have a problem with staying that way.
Yes, he said that
I'm sorry, what?
they were shaking.
Yes, I explained this to Ellie already a little bit, but I was dabbling a little bit, and when the bodies seem to be in complete darkness, they seem to shake uncontrollably, and from what the gravedigger told me, they get more violent.
The shaking gets more violent. They
Yeah,
don't
the shaking
stand up and go grr and want to
Yeah.
kill things.
I wonder if that's some sort of absence of light from whatever poisons or substances are in their bodies.
Well,
Jett wants to be here so badly. Skylar's
am I assuming that she's talking about the ghost rock?
I mean, she's mentioned the ghost rock being poisoned before. She's been very open about the fact that she thinks it's just.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
You saw what it did to the guy that was on the cross. You saw what it did to the wolves.
Well, that's the thing. It has two effects, it seems. It can corrupt, but it also seems to purify. I mean, we were mentioning that perhaps that it can, the ghost rock, if refined like the ghost steel, we could perhaps use it in a way. So, as a way to, like, I don't know, kind of purify them or have more effect on such creatures. Maybe it would work on the undead as well.
You want to use poison on the undead?
When
doesn't seem like it would.
No. When the ghost steel is perfectly fine, there's no gas or anything. It's fine. So if we could refine it, perhaps use it as a way to defend ourselves against that. Is what I'm saying.
Miss Alice, I'm sure that you are well aware of the workings of medicines. Laudanum in a reasonable dose can easily help, but too much is not advisable.
Agreed.
Perhaps what Lucius here is saying could bolster what it is that I propose we work on in the morning.
Which is?
An exorcism.
An exorcism. Okay. Well, now I've just heard everything.
Miss Alice, sarcasm is far beneath a lady of your stature.
Oh,
You know nothing of my stature, you fool.
you say that, but he's right. You know in your heart of hearts, he's right.
I'm not going to tell him that.
No way. But I'm just, yeah.
Just a
And
look
it's-
like
And it's not sarcasm. It's ridiculous tomfoolery, what you're suggesting.
but
You stood face to face with Asmodeus or Baphomet.
I stood face to face with something that I have yet to figure out what it is.
Oh, just because you're unable to understand what it is doesn't make it isn't, young lady.
You're one of those. Good to
He's in
know.
full grandpa mode right now.
oh my god.
But, Mr. Lucius, I do believe that you could be of great assistance to me in the morning.
Yes, I think I could be actually. Since our as you've said before that our work is kind of this crosses before, so I think I can help you out.
It would be much appreciated.
Well, if you all don't mind, I've had a bit of an exhausting day, taking 5 times as long walking anywhere as normal. Think I'll retire to my chambers now.
Would you like me to escort you? I wanted to actually talk to you privately about something.
Of course.
I'll take her.
I'm not going to take his hand. I'm still going to use my crutches, though, because I
That's
feel like
fine.
it's easier
The
to just use
stairwell.
my
I was
crutches.
just because you're going upstairs, so that's a bugger with a stiff leg. So yeah, you have one hand on the railing and the other hand holding the 2 crutches, doing that hop jump thing.
Yeah.
So, just follow her, and I'll talk to her privately. But
Yep.
Have fun, you too.
Oh, that's right. They left us alone. Good.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. It's okay with everybody if we keep going here. Like,
Yeah.
we're all good. Okay, excellent. Let's go.
Oh, good.
Heading up the stairs. Let's start with them.
Okay, this might sound a bit like an odd question, but what is your weapon of choice?
Mine?
Yes, what's your weapon of choice? Blades, guns.
Well, I mean, you've seen me use it before. I use a Colt Peacemaker.
Okay. Do you know how to use a knife by any chance, or any like close range combat?
I do.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Was that everything?
Yeah, that's everything, and glad to see that you're.
May I ask why?
Oh, well, I'm hoping I can make something of the ghost steel, so hopefully I'll have something for you in the future.
Well, I'd appreciate it, but at the moment, I'm not sure how well I'll be in close combat. Considering if something takes a swing at me, I can fall over to try to avoid it.
It's just a precaution, so just give it a stab in case you run out of bullets. In my opinion, you can't rely on guns for too long once you run out of bullets. But it's just me.
Well, I certainly won't turn down a new weapon.
Absolutely. Is there anything else I can help you with, or do you need? I will attend to your friends at the Charlie's bar.
I appreciate that. No, I'm just need rest, and I hope I can see Jett soon. You were saying he wasn't in great shape last you saw?
Yeah, but it was odd. He seems like he's in perfect health again. I can't sometimes forget that man. Just don't understand how he does it.
You know, I'm too tired. I've seen.
You're right.
Charlie
You're right. No, you're right.
I've been hobbling around. I'm gonna go to bed,
Right.
and I will sort
Absolutely.
my brain tomorrow with whatever is happening with Jett.
Right. If you need anything, just call me. Have a good night. Yeah.
Good
So
night.
the third awkward conversation in an hour sort of breaks up at the top of the stairs. And they head off towards their rooms.
I really thought it was going to be some intent. He was like, no, that's it. I just.
Meanwhile, downstairs,
And I will head to the bar right after.
because you were heading. Are you going to head out and go get the bodies?
Well, I'm probably thinking that. Well, are they jittering?
You
I'm
did
thinking to
tell
myself,
Miss Ellie that's what you were going to do.
Yeah, I did promise, so I better do what I promised. Alone.
So yeah, down the bottom of the stairs, you adjust your. This is your job. You wanted this job. You wanted to be the Undertaker in this town. This is what Undertakers do. Out the door to go gather the 2 bodies.
Don't get paid enough for this. So
As you
jittering.
get to the bottom of the stairs and walk across the foyer and out the door, there is a thundering silence from over in the corner. As you step out the doors and the doors swing shut behind you.
I do have my lantern, by the way. So
Yep. Yeah, you're heading out into the dark. The 2 of you find yourselves, even the wait staff is gone.
Oh.
Just
Good.
opposite each other at the table. Nice bottle of alcohol.
Alice is just
sitting in the
staring
middle
at
of the
him
table.
at this point. I feel like.
That's fine. That's fine. After a couple of moments, then, a few minutes, Baptiste will sort of straighten up a little bit, and then I am certain you and your family must have been at the debutante ball of, what was her name? Augina Campbell, just outside of Savannah. You must understand, though. And he's picking everybody would have been there. Obviously, of course,
Yep.
she would have been there. He's finding a white flag to wave.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And mentions this party.
And yeah, and if I'm getting this correct, it's a very not very subtle flattery as well. Like, I assume that you would have been there, as well as that's where I must have seen you, like because your family's good enough to be at these things.
Oh, he doesn't actually mean anything malicious by it. Like, he is legitimately waving the white flag.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know. Was I there? I guess she was there. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you
mean,
would have been. He picked one of those, right?
Yeah.
It's like the Kentucky Derby. You would have been.
Yes.
there.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Alice will take the olive branch, and she'll. Yes. I still remember that lovely blue gown she wore. I also remember how dreadfully boring that party was.
For the vast majority of the evening, though, I will admit, her cousin, Marcus, at one point had so much to drink, we had all convinced him that Mrs. Mayweather's prized sow was a Shetland pony. And I do not know if you were around for that one, but we had stories for months to come afterwards. And he just finds these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
She'll say, I don't remember that specifically, but I do remember hearing a very loud noise outside.
Yeah, there would have been a sort of the boys are outside playing and the girls are inside going, "Oh, boys," right?
Yeah.
yeah. But it absolutely rings true.
Yeah, she says, I do remember there being some sort of loud ruckus outside. I, of course, didn't investigate it because it's boys. Boys will do what boys will do.
Well, I do suppose that is true.
Was this party, let me, was this party more than a year ago?
I
Did you say that? No? Yeah.
Go ahead, it's your party.
He's referencing something that Baptiste would have probably been in his 40s or so. Miss Alice, a young woman of presentable age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have been quite young. Yeah.
That there's a specific reason I asked, but she'll say, "Yeah, I was my friend Chessie. He was He wasn't outside. He wasn't outside with all that. He was probably off somewhere trying to impress some woman with some card trick.
Does a
Chessie.
gambler or huckster by the name of Chessie ring a bell for Baptiste?
Sure.
Sure.
A gambler. Not at this party. He would have been, as a male, he would have been too young. He wasn't there. She was there as a sort of, you know, before her adolescence, but Chessie would have been too young. But you heard that name, Chessie, which is not a real common name,
Sure.
applied to a gambler that you and a couple of other people in your previous association spent quite some time chasing in the southern riverboat area. You never did catch that bugger.
You know, Miss O'Hare, there was a man named Chessie a number of years ago that I had the pleasure of knowing by reputation only in a professional sense, but never met face to face. As far as I know, I'm sure he is doing well. I hope that news is pleasant for you.
Well, I actually wouldn't know. About a year ago, I'd say, Chessie just up and left, and I have not seen or heard from him since.
As I said, I only knew of him by reputation only in the roundabout areas of New Orleans, not out this far.
Yeah, he had a way with cards, I'll tell you that. He was always trying to, oh gosh, that boy. He was always trying to impress the ladies. With me, it wasn't quite so much that. With me, he was always just trying to say that he had some sort of magic. Nonsense, of course.
It is exactly that ability with cards that you were hunting him for.
I have always found a respect for those with a more critical mind to the unexplained things in this world. Though in my line of work, I'm sure you can appreciate. There's a number of things I've seen and encountered that, well, they just defy explanation.
Well, they may do that. But it's my job and my duty to try to find that explanation.
And in a pursuit of truth, your vocation and mine are not that different, Miss O'Hare. And raises a glass of wine.
She'll clink and cheers. And then she'll kind of settle back into her chair and she'll say, "But man, that blue dress." And she just like kind of like sits back and reminisces about that. And now that Chessie's been brought up, she's kind of like thinking about that too.
So there's, I think, fair to say 2,000-yard stares at that table, but the silence is maybe a little more comfortable than it was 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right. In that case, I can comfortably do this. Sky, I'm sorry. Oh, dude. Oh, this is hideous. Okay. That's out of the way. Let's go. The next morning, you had your dance. You went back down on all fours. You're exhausted. You're thrashed. It's like, didn't I just, like, for 8 minutes, I felt really good. And then I danced with a strange woman, and now I'm exhausted and I'm confused. and your head is almost on the floor again. And you see a leather-clad foot, her foot, just right in front of your face on the floor. And she uses it to hook your forehead and try and lift your head up.
And just look up, I guess. Still confused.
You don't say much.
I'm at a loss for words, man. I don't do that. I don't dance like that.
And her head kind of does that thing from side to side. For a moment, she looks very, very raveny. And you must have questions.
I have so many questions.
You can have 3 answers. For now.
Okay. Why me?
Do you remember, and this finger here turns into a raven's claw, so you've only got 2 left. She says, do you remember the reading?
And I just kind of go a little pale. And, of course.
What did you want more than anything else that day? You knew something was wrong.
I just wanted to fix it.
Exactly. Exactly. Want, though, not the right word. You didn't want. You needed to fix it. That need drew me, Jett. That's where we met. 2 more.
Who are you?
For now, just call me Raven. Second one goes down. I realized I did those in the wrong order. It's almost impossible to hold that finger up. So now there's 2 raven claws and 1 finger. Yeah.
When will I see you again?
When you're ready. Until then, and in that raven claw, there's a tarot card. The same white outlines as before, just very simple outlines on this figure. And her voice says, it's the hermit, Jett. And you look, and this is a man in a hat just like yours, sitting on the edge of a cliff, the same cliff that fool was walking over. But he's staring out into the infinite abyss beyond. And her voice says, the hermit, always alone, contemplating and searching for truth. But you keep looking out, and the answer is in. And the card just shimmers, and it's a different card. This one is strength. This is a woman, her, obviously, with one hand on the mane of a lion, and with that hand she is obviously completely in control of the beast. And she's pointing in a direction off the screen, but clearly telling this incredibly powerful lion where to go. And she says, strength, your bravery, your compassion. Mostly that. Focus, Jett. And there's this little anger, and then it fades away. Become what you were always meant to be. Quit dilly-dallying. You haven't got time. And she changes into a series of 5 very quick images. Baby Bart crushing the gecko. Teenage Bart skinning and gutting the cat to see what it looked like inside. Middle-aged Bart drowning the man in the water trough. Old Bart putting the pillow over the old man. They just go past flick, 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 flick. The last one sticks. The last one is you. Back in your town as that dirty sheriff. The one that takes bribes. The one that runs the whorehouse. The one whose justice is for money and not for justice. You haven't got time. And you blink, and the sun hits you in the side of the face, and it's the next morning. She's gone. You're on your hands and knees on the floor with your head on the floor again. And into that resounding silence, we will drop the end of tonight's episode. Wow.
Woo.
Somebody
That
get Lenny.
What's that?
Somebody get Lenny. He's got an outro to do.
That's small.
He's a whole different guy. I'm a little bit offended. I'm sorry. I got a little unhinged there. I apologize. These things happen. I'm doing my best though. Let's do the outro here. Damn. All right.
Wow.
Well, I guess Jett there done found himself in a whole heap of trouble. Don't worry, man. I've been there too. Birds are shitty dance partners. Anyways, if you all want to find out what happens next, come on back to hear more from Marshall Kevin. Okay. Yeah, you did it. Good job. Good, Marty. Go to bed. So thank you all for joining us. Oh, a reminder, if we get one more YouTube subscriber, it really simplifies our life because then we can do the simplified URL there. Also, one more thing we wanted to mention is for September, which today's the last day, any subscriptions we get at any level, whatever it is, any money that comes into us for the channel, we're going to double it and give it to Extra Life. So if you haven't used that Twitch Prime sub yet this month, now's the time to do it. Jump it in there. Or for just $2.50 for first-time subs, you can get on there. So help us out with that. All the other stuff we mentioned at the half. So Kevin, take some.
Oh, wow. I honestly, there was... Thanks, dude. Have a drink. I honestly did not expect another episode to go quite that personal and quite that deep, but oh boy, I don't know about you, but I had a lot of fun. I want to start with the world's quietest man tonight because I have never done this to a player in all the years that I have done this. I have never had anybody sit still and listen and watch for 2.5 hours and get like 4 sentences. Noctum Sky, thank you. I will make it up to you in and out of character. That's right off the top. My storyteller of the night goes to the man of 1,000 faces because he only had 4 words. Thank you, Sky. That was wonderful. Also in there, the rest of these storytellers, because I mean, come on, without them, I'm just sitting here talking to the walls. Sarah playing Alice. Some more. I have seen speedier character development, but only in a one-shot. This is amazing. I love where this is going. And back on the top row, Lucius. Sent back to your roots. Sent packing. Now you're afraid of. You are surrounded by fear, my friend.
It's a bit an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I probably should have warned you. I'm a tissue kind of DM. So, thank you very much for coming and playing with me, Hannah, Ellie. I mean, just talk about emotional roller coasters. Hers have all been down. I mean, it's just plummet. Thank you guys all so much. These guys also all on their own side do stuff many stuffs. These stuffs will be listed in various underpinnings of quotes and things. I haven't got it left in me. I really don't. After tonight, guys, big thank you to all these storytellers that tell it with me. Other than that, man, until next week, we'll shoot you next time. Good night.
Hell with your stupid game, we're walking out the door. And of course you must agree, when the party gets too strong, the DM has a plan to take your treasure all along. Our party followed forth a lead given by the DM, and we boarded a ship to make his plot move quicker to our end.